The 21st century is probably one of the most greatest times in the whole of human history. There has been so much advancement in technologies, in systems that are designed to enhance human life, to enhance the way we live our lives, the way we do things, and the way we work. And things have been evolving at a rapid pace than ever experienced before. Things are changing so swiftly, and you almost get confused, frustrated, and even anxious in your ability to catch up with the ever changing world. There's probably more demand in productivity and enhancing your life. That way, you can meet up and catch up with the world fast moving pace. But what if the secret to more productivity is actually in doing less? That might sound a little counterintuitive, but we're just going to discover how that works in a second. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Proverbial Minds podcast. This is your host again, Samuel. And today we are here to talk about rest for the soul. What does rest for the soul means? When the word rest come to mind to you, when you hear that word rest, what do you think? Well, as we said in the intro video, the world is at an ever moving fast pace than ever experienced in the whole of human history. If one technology is discovered today, just wait 2 weeks, maybe 1 month, another one is out there again. And it feels like there is even no time in between for individuals to learn these new technologies and new systems before newer systems and products are being produced. And all of these technologies are designed according to their inventors or creators to enhance our lives, to make human lives better some way, somehow. But while it is doing that, it's sometimes also working against our very nature as humans. Today, the average person is probably working multiple jobs to catch up with the cost of living and the expenses of life today. And another person is trying to learn multiple courses and take programs and attend seminars, all that stuff, just to catch up with the speed at which society is evolving. And there is this shout all around the place for productivity, 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 productivity. We have created all kind of standards and systems, especially in the engineering world and in the business world, on how to enhance team productivity, enhance a company's productivity, enhance efficiencies in all aspects of operation. But yet, one key factor is being omitted in all of this, and that is the effect of what rest actually does to the human mind, to the body, to the soul, and the system. If you look at the book of Exodus, chapter 20, verses 8 to 11, there the Lord was giving a command to the people of Israel about the Sabbath day. The Sabbath day is supposed to be the seventh day of the week of a 7 days week. And the Lord said, for 6 days I created the heavens and the earth. I created the seas, I created everything. But on the seventh day, I rested and there was no work. So therefore, you also must not do any work on the Sabbath day. You must rest from all your works and dedicate that day to me. What happens in the mind and in the brain and in the whole body when you're being bombarded with all kinds of information like you would find today on the internet, social media, browsers, and news outlets? What happens to your mind and your body when you are experiencing information overload of a faster, of a ever changing world, changing at a very fast pace and speed, you go into a state of stress, state of anxiety, state of frustration. You're trying to do more in a way of becoming productive, but you don't know that at the end of the day, you end up doing less. Denzel Washington said something that struck me. He said, "Do not confuse movement with progress." Because you can run around a circle all day long, and to you, you think you're doing something, but you're not being productive. You're just in the same spot. Every round you turn, you're not increasing. You're only fine. You might gain more steps, but you're gaining more steps in the same position. You're not gaining miles in terms of distance you travel to a particular direction. You're just on the same spot. You're on the same center axis. That is by no means productivity. But I tell you, that is what 95% of the people, all of us out there, are doing today. You read the next book, you read the next, take the next course, take the next tutorial, take the next, everything that comes out, you jump onto it, you jump onto it, you jump onto it. But you are not necessarily progressing towards maybe your goal or your vision, if you even have one. You've not even analyzed the data you received, you've gotten another one. All of this will weigh your brain down, it will slow you down, and you will not even be able to make sense of any of it. So, this is where the idea of productivity meaning doing less. Now, doing less does not mean that you should not work at all, or you should not do anything, or you should sit down in your couch all day and watch a movie. No, that's not what doing less means. Doing less means doing less of the meaningless tasks that has no purpose, no correlation with your purpose, with your vision. And rather, even if it's 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day, you can focus that 5 hours on something that actually has meaning to your life, something that actually matters to you, to your goal, something that actually helps you to progress forward, not just run round circles on the same spot like a dog chasing its tail. And then what do you do with the remaining time? Do you go and do other mindless, meaningless tasks and get yourself burnt out? No. If you do that, then you'll not even be able to be productive in that 5 hours because your brain is already short circuited. So, what is the human anatomy or the biology of your system when you're stressed? And what happens to you when you don't rest? When you keep on chasing after productivity by doing more? And most times more of meaningless things that does not even add any value to your life or move you forward in your trajectory of your journey and destiny. Well, the first thing we'll look at is the prefrontal cortex. Now, the prefrontal cortex is like the CEO of your brain. It's the one that manage the major functions of your body, of your mind, your sensing, your thinking, your emotions, all of those kind of stuff, your judgments, all these things. That is what your prefrontal cortex does. And the moment you're stressed, your prefrontal cortex is going to go offline. It's basically shutting down. Because think of the brain as a computer. What happens to a computer when you use it to process more and more and more information without giving it break or cooling it down with some kind of, let's say, liquid cooling system? It overheats. And when it overheats, what does it do? You can either fry your motherboard because of it overheating. Why? Because when you are computing data, informations, all that stuff with your computer, you're generating heat. The computer is consuming a lot of energy, and some of those energy are lost as heat. And so the computer generates more heat. And if you don't cool off that computer, it begins to slow down and slow down and slow down and slow down. And it becomes less and less and less efficient. And you get to a point where you are tired and frustrated and you just maybe smash it on the floor. Or let's say you have a 16, let's say 10 gigabyte RAM computer, and you're trying to run works of like 18 gigabytes. What's going to happen is it's going to significantly slow down. That is kind of like how your brain works. Your brain is a mechanism that also consumes energy. Research shows that your brain weighs maybe about 1 or 2% of your entire body weight, but it consumes 20 to 25% of your body's energy. And most of those energy are consumed when you are actually doing cognitive tasks, when you're thinking, taxing your mind, your brain to think. And hence the reason why when you're stressed and tired, you don't want to do anything that challenge your brain. You only want to do fun stuffs. You're trying to get dopamine to change that emotional state, to charge you back, to refuel you. And sometimes the reason why you go on scrolling on social media or doing all that kind of stuff, it's just even thinking feels like a load for you. This is the times where procrastination and all of those stuff kicks in because your brain has been overworked and it's overloaded and it has slowed down, it's becoming less and less efficient. During a state like that, your brain runs out of glucose, and glucose is like the fuel that fuels your brain. And then it goes into maybe something you call in the computer like sleep mode or energy saving mode. And you're trying to do all these tasks, but your brain is fighting back. It's fighting back, it's fighting back. You then find it difficult to be productive. Now, there are other multiple scientific research on what happens to you when you're stressed and when you're tired. Your prefrontal cortex going offline is one of it. At that point, you become more emotional. Thinking goes out of the door. You're no longer strategic. You are in survival mode. And so you just do things mindlessly, out of emotion. You make poor decisions and all that stuff. So, what then happens to you when you rest? Sleep is one of the most powerful form of rest that you can do. Now, there are other forms of resting, e.g., taking a walk and listening to music, meditation, exercise, like simple exercise that makes you feel good, that increase your dopamine and serotonin is probably what they call it. And it reduces your cortisol level, which is your stress neuron. Your amygdala continue to begins to reboot and functions better. But sleep is one of the major form of rest. You see, when you sleep, the brain goes into repair state. It doesn't just only shut down and rest and recharge itself, but it also processes information, because when you're awake you collect all kinds of data and information and all that stuff. So when you're sleeping, your brain is like, okay, beginning to sort these files and data you've collected, delete some, retain some, and all of that. But it also repair itself, it replenish itself. It's the reason why you notice that when you sleep and wake up, you feel better, you feel refreshed. It feels like your thinking becomes restored. You can see clearly, you can think clearly, but when you're stressed, the opposite happens. It is the importance of rest. I used to be one of those people that is very ambitious. I'm still, persistent, but I used to be stubbornly ambitious in such a way that I can be working on a task. And if this task begin to stress me out, or maybe it's a difficult problem I'm trying to solve, an engineering problem I'm trying to solve, I used to be that person that would not leave there. I would not quit until I solve that problem. Eventually, I would solve that problem, but is that productive? No. I realized over time that that was not productive. And so, after someone taught me something, a great professor taught me something. He told me, see, when you are at this state, you are just trying, what would take you 1 hour to do would take you 10 hours, if not more, or perhaps 6 hours. And so, whenever I then find myself in these situations, when I try to think over the problem and try to solve the problem, and it still keeps challenging me, I would simply, sometimes, most thing what I do is actually take a power nap. Sometimes like 20-minute nap, 30-minute nap, 1 hour nap, and then I come back to it. Sometimes I just go on a walk. Sometimes I just simply listen to music. Sometimes I just maybe call somebody and have a fun, nice conversation, short conversation. And then when I come back to face that problem I'm trying to solve, or to learn that hard topic, whatever it is that is mentally demanding, I'm trying to do, it becomes so easy. It becomes like a walk in the park. I'm like, wow. Sometimes I look stupid. It makes me feel stupid. I'm like, why was this thing giving me this much problem before? Why was I having this hard time solving this problem before? Well, because my brain was no longer working properly. It has shut down. It has gone to self-defense mode. It has gone to sleep mode. It is now only half awake. And so I'm not using my full computing capacity of my brain. And so hence I couldn't solve the problem. But what that short break and sometimes sleep and rest did was that it regenerated my brain cells. It restored my full RAM, random access memory. It restored my full computing capacity. And then when I come, I can think clearly, I see clearly, I understand clearly, and I approach this problem and I just solve it with the help of God easily. And sometimes I go meditate. Say I'm stressed from everything. Sometimes I don't even sleep. I just sit down, just on like a dim light, and turn off all of the lights and just relax myself. Clear my mind. Sometimes just going through whatever is thoughts is coming through my head, and then maybe read the Bible. The Bible is one very good book. Read the Bible, meditate on it, and then I come back. I feel so regenerated. I feel clear. I feel strengthened. All that stress and weird emotion feelings, they all go out of the door. So meditation is another very powerful way of dealing with stress and resting your soul. In fact, it's one of the ways you should use in resting your soul, because it depends on how you do meditation. For me, when I meditate, I read the Bible, then I meditate on the Word of God. Learn more things, discover more things, and it relaxes me. Find whatever works for you, but your body need rest. Your mind, your soul needs rest. If you're really going to catch up into this world, you have to look into your activities, look into your day. What are you doing in your day? How many hours do you spend on mindless tasks? Making yourself believe that you're progressing, you're busy, you're doing work, whereas you're going nowhere. You're just chasing your tail. Start each day with a goal that you want to achieve for that day, and let those goals be the first thing that you go after to achieve. Some of those goals might not be able to be achievable just early in the morning. You might need to go through some other taxes in order for you to get to that goal. But save and conserve your energy to achieve that goal. When you achieve those goals for the day, and when you write these goals down, ensure that they match with your values, with your principles, and the person whom you want to become. If it's a cybersecurity engineer, a good father, a good mother, whoever it is, let these goals be centered around those principles. And let these goals be things that you can control. In the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Steve Covey, your center of influence is the things under your control. So, whatever goal you're trying to achieve, ensure that it's within your center of influence. That is things that you can actually do something about. Otherwise, you're only going to set yourself up for a day of frustration and disappointment trying to achieve and control something that is totally out of your control. So start your day with a plan, with a task of things you want to achieve. First of all, praying to God and putting God first in your day and asking for strength. Spending time in just relaxing in the morning, doing exercises, and then craft your goal, your plan, and see how it matches with your mission and your purpose and whatever it is you're trying to achieve. And ensure that it's within your center of influence. All of this can help you to even reduce stress that you might encounter during the day, help you to reduce mindless taxes that are not getting you anywhere, only increasing your stress and making you more unproductive, whereas giving you the false belief and feeling of being productive. When you can do these things, you are 85% on your journey to achieving your goals, your desires, or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. And when you've done these things, take a break. Don't let yourself to be completely maxed out before you even rest. Take a break. Rest. Go for a walk, take a power nap, do whatever it is that you can do to regenerate yourself. Do fun tasks, and then you can go ahead, go about, and do whatever else it is you want to do. So long you've achieved the important tasks and goals that you have for the day that are going to actually progress your life forward. This is how you live as a highly productive person, not running around circles, but only doing the things that matter. And in the other part of the day, you can probably do some other mindless tasks that gives you pleasure or fun, as long as you've done the important thing and you don't sway too much away to the point that you screw yourself over and tomorrow you wake up tired, because the things you do the previous day would really also affect the quality of your sleep and the other day. So be cautious of those things. And this, my friend, is how you can cater for yourself and rest for your soul and be more productive, not by doing more, but by doing less of meaningless tasks and more of meaningful tasks, which overall leads to you doing less. The less work you do, the less work your brain have to do, the more energy you conserve, and the less you will get to the state of total exhaustion and stress, which makes you a highly optimized and productive human being. That is it, guys, on Rest for the Soul. If you have enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our channel, like the video, share this powerful content with your friends and family, or whoever one you think this might be of value for and help. And I pray that the Lord bless you and help you to be fruitful in your life and the things you do. If you want to share any testimony or anything with us, follow us at proverbialminds@gmail.com. Email us there and listen to us on Apple Podcasts. Also follow us on Instagram for daily short videos and contents that can be energetic for your day. Until the next one, stay blessed.